Good evening, everybody. This is the Operation Bohica podcast. My name is Kevin, and I'll tell you what an interesting day it has been. If you are a New York Jets fan, today will go down as one of the more interesting days in the history of the Jets when it comes to a trade. Before I recap the big trades that happened today, I do want to bring up a few days ago the Jets traded Michael Carter II in exchange for John Mechie III, who was a really good wide receiver
A
at
trade.
the University of Alabama. And Michael Carter II, had a couple of good years under Robert Saleh, but this year, for whatever reason, things just didn't seem to work out. Obviously, he had been hurt a lot, and you could kind of see the writing on the wall that the Jets were going to move on from him, especially because of the emergence of Malachi Moore, the slow but steady improvement of Brandon Stevens. Even though I'm not completely sold on him, I do got to give Brandon Stevens credit. He has improved. And then one of the bright spots of this season in the secondary, Malachi Moore, the rookie safety out of Alabama, who will be, I believe, starting safety for the Jets for years to come. Then you go to today. Today, obviously, the NFL trading deadline. Two big trades involving the New York Jets. The two biggest trades, no question, of this 2025 NFL trading deadline. And quite frankly, the biggest trades since the Jamal Adams trade a few years ago. And quite frankly, these two trades are bigger than the Jamal Adams trade. First of all, so Sauce Gardner, Ahmad Gardner now that he's an Indianapolis Colt, gets traded to Indianapolis for two first-round picks and a wide receiver named A.D. Mitchell, who I really don't know a whole lot about. I believe he was a first or second draft pick for Indianapolis. Things didn't work out with him. So that's what the Jets get in return. And I'm going to be honest with you, the Jets fleeced the Indianapolis Colts. With all due respect to all my Colts fans out there, I think the Jets absolutely stole. They stole two first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. It's interesting that Sauce Gardner was able to garner two first-round picks. So it's going to be a 2026 first round pick and also a 2027 first round pick, along with the aforementioned A.D. Mitchell. With the addition of A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie II, this does bolster the wide receiving core of the New York Jets. The Jets really desperately seeking a number two receiver to step up as far as helping out Garrett Wilson and obviously uh, helping out the offense. So let's see if either John Mechie III or A.D. Mitchell or both gentlemen step up. And again, from the Colts trade, a first round pick in 2026 and a first rounder in 2027. The Indianapolis Colts right now sitting at 7-2. Let's keep it real. They probably will make the playoffs despite the loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers this past weekend. Indianapolis with a two-game lead in the AFC South over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston is 3-5. I don't see them catching up, and obviously Tennessee, uh, the worst team in football, with a record of 1-8. So Indianapolis will probably at worst be a 4 seed in the playoffs. So in fairness to Sauce Gardner, he is going to be on a winning team, on a team with a winning record, and no doubt about it, Sauce Gardner will do what he was not able to do, unfortunately, with the New York Jets. Sauce Gardner will make a postseason appearance. With that being said, I did mention earlier the Indianapolis Colts. I believe they have the 26th ranked pass defense in the league. Do I think Sauce Gardner will help improve that? Yes, but I'm going to be honest. I've been saying this. I made a video a few weeks ago about Sauce Gardner, whether he's him or not. Uh, he's not him, because even under Aaron Glenn, one of the greatest cornerbacks in the history of the New York Jets, one of the greatest players in the history of the New York Jets, there really was no improvement by Sauce Gardner. I'm expecting 7 to 10 interceptions this year. Sauce Gardner had zero. He had a concussion in the game a couple of weeks ago, not the Cincinnati game. He missed the Cincinnati game. The game before that, Sauce Gardner got a concussion. So that was basically his last moments with the New York Jets in that loss to Carolina. He gets a concussion. So not a great way to go out. You're hearing some things about things that are going on in his personal life. I guess he's going out with some. He's got some rapper girlfriend that he's dealing with, and so maybe Sauce Gardner may not be completely focused on football at this time. Also, let's keep it real. Other than the first that rookie season where he was absolutely spectacular, look, he can't tackle. He doesn't make impact plays. He doesn't get interceptions. Yes, can he cover the team's top receiver? Sure, but he is also susceptible to getting pass interference calls, which is something that he had a reputation of coming out of the University of Cincinnati. Again, he was an All Pro the first 2 seasons, so we will give him credit for that. The only two other players in the history of the NFL to do that since that All Pro deal started were Lawrence Taylor and Micah Parsons. So we do give props to Sauce Gardner for that. But in the last season and a half, really no improvement. It just feels like Sauce Gardner has regressed. And again, the big number that I keep bringing up, only 3 career interceptions. That's 1 interception a year. And you're supposed to, I understand you're supposed to be a shutdown quarter. But in the first 3 years of his career, Darrell Revis had 14 interceptions. You can go back and check out my channel, Operation Bohica Podcast. Check out that video that I did about Sauce Gardner being him or not. And you can go back in the history of the NFL to some of the greatest cornerbacks in the league, Rod Woodson, Deion Sanders, Lester Hayes, and so on. And after their third season, you take a they had more interceptions than Sauce Gardner. And then you have some of these cornerbacks in one season, they had way more interceptions than Sauce Gardner has had his entire career. Look at Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, I believe, had 13 interceptions in 2012. Yet Sauce Gardner has only had 3 interceptions his entire career. Uh, I do wish him well. Listen, he did relatively stay out of controversy throughout his tenure with the Jets. So best of luck to him. But I'm going to say it again. I think the Jets absolutely fleeced the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe you may not see that in the short term, but I think you'll see that in the long term, and I will get to that a little later on. I am surprised. That was probably a bigger surprise than the Quinnen Williams trade. The Sauce Gardner trade was a big, big surprise considering that he had just signed a new 5-year deal. I got a little nervous there because since they traded Sauce, I'm like, oh my God, I hope they don't trade Garrett Wilson. But thank God they didn't trade Garrett Wilson. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of fans out there that would have ended their loyalty to the New York Jets. That's for sure. Then a little later on, the Dallas Cowboys, they traded a 2026 second round pick and a 2027 first round pick and a defensive tackle named, what was his name? Misa Smith. Misa Smith. I'm going to be honest. Never heard of him. Never heard of him until today. So, any Cowboy fan out there, please tell me about Mozzie Smith because I don't know anything about him. I believe Mozzie Smith was a first round draft pick. Okay, so he was the 26th pick in the 2023 draft out of the University of Michigan. Again, I don't know anything about him. I know more about Mason Graham and some of the other Michigan players, but Mozzie Smith, never heard of him. Let's see. He's really not a whole lot to say. Looks like he was a first round bust. Let's see what he can do with the Jets if he can improve. He might be able to improve, and the reason I say that ever since Jarvis Brownlee came to the Jets for Tennessee. Jarvis Brownlee has played very well for the Jets, despite the 1-7 record. You got Jawan Briggs, who the Jets got this season. Didn't really know who he was until he got to the Jets, but he's been playing well in the defensive line. He's had some moments. So there's been a couple of players that the Jets have acquired that maybe they were not good with some of the other teams that they were in prior, but you've seen a little bit of improvement since they've become New York Jets. So you got a 2026 second rounder, a 2027 first round pick. Look at this. Look at all the picks that the Jets have in the 2026 draft and the 2027 draft. This is huge. In 2026, two first round picks in the first round. In the second round, two picks in the second round of the 2026 draft. And in the 2027 draft, the Jets have three first round picks. So those are, you're talking about seven high picks. If you do the math, I mean, you're gonna tell me that the Jets, I know they've had a horrible draft history, which I did another video about that not too long ago. But there's just no way that with seven picks in the next two drafts, the Jets are gonna miss on all seven. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, even with the Jets' history of bad drafting. Listen, they've had some good drafts. They had Freeman McNeil in '81. They had Al Toon in '85. You had Aaron Glenn in 1994. You had God rest his soul, Nick Mangold in 2006, and Brick Shaw Ferguson in 2006. You had David Harris. I believe David Harris got drafted in 2007. Darrell Revis in 2007. So the Jets have had some, some pretty good draft picks. Not at the level of some other teams, but that you can't. The draft is a crapshoot, so you just never really know. But the reason why I'm optimistic about these picks, let's take a look at this year's draft, the first draft made by Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. In the fifth round, they got Tyler Barron, an edge rusher out of Miami. Honestly, he hasn't really done anything, but he was basically the lowest pick in this year's draft. Ahead of him, the 26th pick in the fifth round, Francisco Maligoa out of Miami, linebacker out of Miami. Even though he's not a starter, he has contributed. I've seen him play in a handful of games. I believe it was the Denver game. I saw a lot of that young man, and he was making plays, so he had a pretty good game in that outing. So there could be something there in the future with Francisco Magua. In the fourth round, the Jets drafted Malachi Moore, as I mentioned earlier, safety out of Alabama. Malachi Moore, he's starting to come along, and I'm telling you, that young man is going to be a starting safety for the New York Jets for many years to come, provided he stay healthy. So I think that's been a bright spot for the New York Jets this season. Uh, he was the 28th pick in the fourth round. Ahead of him, in the fourth round with the eighth pick, Arian Smith, a speed wide receiver out of the University of Georgia. Haven't really seen too much of him, but there in that game-winning drive against the Cincinnati Bengals, he did make a big catch. Maybe now they're going to start implementing him more. We'll see. Now you do have John Mechie Jr. coming in, and then you also have uh, A.D. Smith from Indianapolis. So that might be a message to Arian Smith. Hey, bro, we're gonna need you to step it up here and try to get you to be a good number two, number three receiver. Also, in the third round of this year's draft with the ninth pick, A.Z. Thomas, the cornerback out of Florida State. I think that might have been one of the reasons that contributed to the trade of Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner, look, he's talented, but he's not a physical cornerback. He's not somebody that's gonna play bump and run and be up in your face. A.Z. Thomas definitely that kind of cornerback out of Florida State. He did get burned. I believe it was by T. Higgins against Cincinnati. But other than that one play, A.Z. Smith played well, and he contributed to that victory for the New York Jets. And you can just see he's got that fire, that passionate personality, something that quite frankly, Sauce Gardner did not possess. So I think maybe the acquisition of A.Z. Thomas had something to do with eventually moving on from Sauce Gardner. I think A.Z. Thomas seems to be more like the type of cornerback that Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are looking for. And then, so he's been a bright spot now, and I think he's starting to emerge. And then with the 10th pick in the second round, the New York Jets select Mason Taylor, the son of Hall of Fame defensive end slash linebacker Jason Taylor. Mason Taylor caught the game-winning pass against Cincinnati, and when the Jets feed the ball to him, he's contributed. He's been a bright spot in the passing game. In the blocking game, not so much, but hopefully he'll get better. Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, he's been one of the bright spots in a dismal season. And then the first round pick, the seventh overall pick, Armand Membu, right tackle out of Missouri, another young man. He obviously he's a rookie, hasn't played perfect, but in the big picture, he's been a bright spot. And I think him and Ola Fashanu at left tackle, you've got two cornerstones of the offensive line for many years to come. The reason I mentioned those draft picks in this year's class is because other than Tyler Barron, everybody else in that draft has contributed in some way, shape, or form. So that's why I'm optimistic that Darren Muji, who's I saw the press conference, that dude looked like he a cold-blooded dude coming from Denver. Uh, hey, he did what he had to do, and he made trades that maybe in the short term maybe won't help the Jets, but let's see what happens in the long run. Again, two first round picks in 2026, two second round picks in 2026, and three first round picks in 2027. Uh, you never know. Maybe with these trades, how can I say this? You have that core group of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams and to a lesser degree Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. Talented players, but let's be honest, how many playoff games have they played in? Zero. How many winning seasons have they had? Zero. So now you let Sauce Gardner move on. You let Quinnen Williams move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Let me say one more thing about the Quinnen Williams trade. Um, I know that the Dallas Cowboys were his destination, so he did get what he want. But I really think that the Jets could have done better. They could have done a better service to a Quinnen Williams, who's been a Jet his entire career, what, 7, 8 seasons. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys beat the brakes off the Jets a few weeks back, 37-22. But the Dallas Cowboys are not going to make the playoffs this year. I'm sorry. I think even though ultimately he got what he wanted, that was his preferred destination. I think the Jets could have done better by Quinnen Williams. They could have sent him to a playoff team like they did with Sauce Gardner, a team that has a chance to make the playoffs and possibly the Super Bowl. But at the same time, maybe Dallas offered the New York Jets the best deal possible. So it is what it is. But, I've said that the Jets needed to do right by Quinnen Williams and trade him to a playoff team. Unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys ain't it. But we'll see. Best of luck to Quinnen and to Sauce. Obviously, there was rumors about his brother Quincy Williams getting traded. That did not happen. Jermaine Johnson, the young edge rusher, there was a lot of rumors that he might be traded. Thankfully, he did not get traded, and he didn't want to get traded. He wants to stay the course. Uh, if the Jets had traded Garrett Wilson, there would have been a lot of cussing in this video, and I think the New York Jets fan base would have been gone absolutely nuclear. There are a lot of Jets fans that are upset about the Sauce trade and the Quinnen trade, but I think as time goes by, I think people are going to realize that those trades were necessary. Uh, I'm sorry, Sauce Gardner, just not good enough. Okay, he has not improved since his second season. And then for Quinnen Williams, who's been on bad teams his entire career, this is an opportunity for him to start fresh. But like I said, unfortunately, I don't see the Cowboys being a winning team this season. Sauce Gardner is going to go to a winning team in Indianapolis, a team that will win the AFC South, barring an incredible collapse. There were rumors about Will McDonald, the fourth, getting traded. I didn't see that happening. Why they didn't trade Alan Lazard is beyond me, but they probably couldn't have gotten a box of chocolates for him. Then there's Michael Clemens. You probably could have gotten, maybe a box of lighters or something, but I guess that didn't work out. The big thing, there was a lot of rumors about Brees Hall getting traded even before the season. He'll be a free agent at the end of the season, so the Jets are going to take a chance and probably let him walk, or they will franchise him. There were rumors today that he wanted out, that he wanted to get traded, which now I'm really starting to believe it's going to be really interesting what happens with him the rest of the season. The Jets, without him, really don't have a running game. Unfortunately, Braylon Allen got hurt. Isaiah Davis, he's okay, but he's I don't think he's anything special unless he proves me wrong, which I hope he does. But you could kind of see there's been some discontent under the radar with Brees Hall. Big rumors that he was going to get traded to Kansas City, which would have been great for the Chiefs. But I believe the story is the Chiefs offered a fourth round pick. The Jets were insistent on at least a third round pick. That did not fall through. So hopefully, Brees Hall doesn't become a malcontent and become a locker room cancer. I really hope not. And if that does happen, how are Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji going to handle that? Particularly Aaron Glenn, who is trying to establish a new culture with the New York Jets. That's going to be a very interesting situation, and hopefully it's a situation that really doesn't boil over. I really hate for that to happen. Uh, right now, the Jets sit at 1-7. They'll be playing the Cleveland Browns this weekend. We'll see if they go 2-7. The Cleveland Browns, a team that is reeling right now, so it's an opportunity for the Jets to get their second win in a row. I'm gonna call it right now. They're gonna go 10-7. No, no, I'm just kidding. Let's be realistic. But Sauce Gardner gone. I agree with that trade wholeheartedly. I'm for it. I am mm, a little less with Quinnen Williams, but I think that the Jets did right by him. But I think they could have done better eh, trading him. Maybe they could have traded him to Kansas City or maybe one of the better teams in football. Maybe, well, not obviously you're not going to trade him to Buffalo. You're not going to trade him to a divisional opponent, but you could have traded him maybe to Pittsburgh, maybe to Philadelphia, maybe to Detroit. Chicago's 5-3. Any team in the NFC North, a mega competitive division this season, or even the NFC West. You've got Seattle and the Rams at 6-2, the 49ers at 6-3. So I think maybe the Jets could have sent him to a better team, but maybe the Cowboys gave him the best deal overall. And then, of course, he did desire to be traded to the Dallas Cowboys. So uh, Quinnen Williams did get what he wants. Those are my thoughts about the big trade today. Sauce Gardner traded to the Indianapolis Colts, which is one of the biggest surprises as far as a trade that I've ever heard. I'm not that surprised that Quinnen Williams got traded. I am glad he did. I think it was time for him to go. That might be one of the reasons why they got traded. Both of them have been very good individual players on losing teams, and again, never had a winning record, never had a playoff appearance. So maybe it was time to go, and we'll see. But I have faith that with two first rounders in 2026, two second rounders in 2026, and three first rounders in 2027, the Jets can right the ship. It looks like Woody Johnson is staying out of Aaron Glenn's way and staying out of Darren Moody's way. Let's cross our fingers and keep it that way. And we'll see what the future holds. And let's see if the Jets can come out of this game with the Cleveland Browns with a victory. So again, this is the Operation Bohica podcast, and I am out.